will actually lead to breakthroughs in almost every single field you can imagine. But a really important one is genetics. Now, Gregor Mendel, a monk who was working with plants, and Crick and Watson, two scientists, had figured out the basic idea of genetics and how we inherit traits. Crick and Watson, of course, discovered DNA. But computers will allow us to do things like genetic engineering, like alter DNA to create species that we want and characteristics in species that we want. In 1989, the U.S. government invests $3 billion to map the human genome, and we actually complete that project ahead of schedule in 2003. And you see all kinds of crazy things. For example, we've cloned a sheep, so we've created life from cloned DNA. You see a mouse there where they've grown an ear on its back, and they could take this ear off and use it to replace somebody whose ear may have been damaged, which is pretty remarkable. And of course, now we're getting into some ethical dilemmas where cloned beef is being sold in stores, and the companies that are doing this have lobbied the government so they don't have to label it. So you may be eating cloned beef right now and have no idea because there's no need to label it. Now, I don't know what the health consequences of that will be ultimately, but nobody else does either because we haven't done this before. It leads to a lot of religious discussion, and really just moral discussion generally, even if it's not religious. But religious folks particularly begin to argue we're tinkering with God. One thing that's particularly controversial is stem cells. This is where you take cells from a fetus, whether it be a fetus that was able to be born or not, and you can extract those cells, and they can become kind of any part of the human body. Stem cells, they're stems that then can go on to become a liver or a kidney. And it's scientists see this as an amazing opportunity for research. But because these cells can come from fetuses, there's many people have ethical concerns and argue that this is similar to the abortion argument, that this is killing human life. President Bush bans using stem cells for research, and Obama lifts that ban. And in scientific communities, this discussion goes on. Cloning, of course, presents its own ethical dilemmas. Currently, it's illegal to clone a human, I believe, everywhere, although I would quite frankly be surprised if in some lab somewhere it hasn't been done. And, of course, it's coming. One of the things about science, like the nuclear bomb, is once we figure out how to do something, it's very hard not to do it. There's also been ethical concerns about things like designer babies. The idea, now this hasn't become a reality as far as I know yet, but what if you could go in and change the DNA of your baby and make it have blue eyes, or make it be tall or athletic, or whatever it is that you really feel like your baby should be. And so science, as it always is pushing the conversation about ethics and morality as well.